I welcome you to another section in BTN 311 class, that is Plant Physiology 1. In today's class, we shall be looking at the process of photosynthesis, where we take a look at the definition, the importance of photosynthesis, materials needed for photosynthesis. I'll go on to look at the life stage of photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis can simply be defined as the biological process used by plants to convert solar energy into chemical energy. You can also define it as a process whereby plants use light energy to convert inorganic substances such as carbon dioxide and water into complex organic compounds. The process of photosynthesis is very important for the continuity of life on the surface of the earth, because it is through the process whereby plants can manufacture their own food, either in the presence of sunlight or light energy, that's photosynthesis, or in the presence of chemical, that's chemosynthesis, to produce products that are needed by other organisms that cannot produce their own food. That is, autotrophic organisms producing their own food that heterotrophic organisms need to survive. The process of photosynthesis also helps in the replenishing of the earth. For example, carbon dioxide is being taken off from the surface of the earth, and oxygen is released into the atmosphere for heterotrophic organisms to be able to live. Photosynthesis also enables the addition of nutrients to the soil, whereby when the plant dies off, there is nutrients in the soil after the deterioration of such plants or organisms in the soil, and other plants can grow and also helps in replenish the earth. And the process of photosynthesis also ensures that raw materials that are needed for basically everything that is needed by man on earth are being produced. So photosynthesis is a very important biological process for mankind, for animals, for organisms, and for the universe at large. In talking about photosynthesis, there are basically four materials that are required in the process of photosynthesis. These are carbon dioxide, that is number one. And carbon dioxide is very important because it is the carbon dioxide that is being reduced in the process of photosynthesis to produce carbon compounds, the organic compounds that are the products of photosynthesis, like the simple sugar, the starch, the sucrose for various types of plants. And this carbon dioxide is usually obtained through the opening of the stomata. When the plant, in the process of opening the stomata, the carbon dioxide pumps in, and the plant takes in carbon dioxide. Another important material is water. Basically, water is the medium in plants through which every biological activity or biochemical activity takes place. Water is a carrier of all ions of molecules of substances within the plant. So water is very important in the process of photosynthesis, and it's also a material that is needed for the production of electrons, as we'll later say in the discussion of this topic. Then number three, we have the pigment, be it the green pigment or the accessory pigment. This pigment is actually that part of the plant that absorbs or takes in the light ray that is needed for photosynthesis. And in this pigment, we have the chlorophyll. For higher plants, you can find chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B within them. And for some lower plants like the algae, you find chlorophyll C as well in them. Then we have accessory pigments like the carotenoid and the phycobilanes. These are accessory because they don't absorb light in the power or the wavelength at which it can be used. They can absorb power wavelength of light rays at lower wavelength or at higher wavelength than the chlorophyll. And these light rays that are absorbed are usually being added to what the chlorophyll has for photosynthesis to take place. So you have the carotenoid and the phycobilin being accessory uh, pigments in the process of photosynthesis. The fourth is the light. Light is very, very important in the, photosynthetic process, because it is this light that helps in the splitting of water molecule, the release of proton, and the release of electron that will be used in producing the energy currency, that's the ATP, and the reducing agents that will be needed in the other phase of photosynthesis. A very important organelle when we're talking about photosynthesis is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is usually be defined as the photosynthetic apparatus. It contains the chlorophyll, that is the light absorbing pigment of the plant. The chloroplast is usually small ellipsoidal shaped organelle that you find in the cytoplasm of green plants. You usually find the chloroplast in the mesophyll and the palisade tissues of most plants. This chloroplast is bounded by two membranes, that is the inner membrane and the inner membrane and the outer membrane. And in between this membrane, you have loads and loads of metabolites, the proteins, and the ions that are needed in the process of photosynthesis. Within the chloroplast, you find the granule. Now, this granule is a stack of thylakoids that you find within the chloroplast. It is actually inside the thylakoid that you have the chlorophyll that absorbs light for the process of photosynthesis to take place. And each of these granule is being connected by what is known as the lamellae. So the lamellae connects a stack of thylakoid to another. The fluid that flows in within the in the compartment of the chloroplast is the stroma, and other processes of photosynthesis also takes place within the stroma. So the beginning of the process of the photosynthetic process or steps usually takes place within the thylakoid, and the pigment constitutes 10% of the total weight of the chloroplast. So the chlorophyll is like 10% of the total weight of the chloroplast. Thank you for your time.